This movie picks up right where the first one left off. In fact, it takes place 3 days after the events of the first film. Let's go. This movie opens up on this family's farm and the little kid Billy is out in the field. He sees this weird ass looking fucking scarecrow, so we know what this is. The creeper attacks Billy, picks him up, and flies away with him in front of his father and older brother who just watch on helplessly. Then we cut to see the school bus full of kids traveling down the highway. They're coming from a game. As they're all driving, just minding their own business, all of a sudden one of the tires blows out. When they get off the bus to investigate, they find that the tire was actually blown off by a throwing star that is made of human bone and has a tooth in it. They have a spare tire, so they manage to replace it and they continue to drive on. As they're driving, our main character, Minxie, falls asleep. And as she's sleeping, she has a vision of Billy, the kid from the beginning, and Derry from the first movie telling her to go back. Then she's awakened when another tire is blown out. This time they go to look and they find this one, and if you notice that, it is Derry's stomach, which we know because that's the tattoo that he had on his belly button. So the bus driver goes out to investigate, and we just see her get picked up and taken away by something, and the whole team has like their backs to her so they don't even see it happen. And then the creeper also kills both of the coaches, so now all the adults are gone. So everybody locks themselves in the bus because where the fuck else are they gonna go? They're on a long stretch of highway. And the creeper shows up upside down in the back window like this. I'll still never understand how his hat stayed on. If you remember from the first movie, the creeper picks his victims by smelling their fear. So there's this sequence where they're all kind of standing there and he tells them like, go away, and then he like smells one that he likes. And he ends up singling out 6 of the students on the bus. Meanwhile, Minxie has another vision of Derry, and Derry explains to her what the creeper is, so he explains how every 23rd spring for 23 days it gets to eat, and it eats us. She tries to warn everybody else, but of course they think she's crazy and they don't believe her. Minxie, through her visions, also understands that this is actually the 23rd day, so after this, the creeper is going away for 23 years. So everybody's like, okay, we'll just survive through the night, and Minxie's like, well, it doesn't matter because in 23 years, it's still gonna come for you. While this is all happening, we see that the father and the older son from the beginning are out, like, hunting the creeper. And as they're driving down this highway, they hear a radio call come in from the school bus, and it's the kids calling for help. So they're like, we're on our way, but we are like miles away. This is a long highway. So as they're waiting, the creeper busts a hole in the top of the bus and attacks one of the students, Bucky. But one of the girls manages to stab it through the head with a javelin. And as we know from the first movie, it has these massive wings, and one of those wings falls through the hole. And Dante, another student, goes to like touch the wing and is like, wow, this thing is super thin. But before he can even know what's happening, the wing wraps around him and it decapitates him. And then we see the creeper use Dante's head to replace his own that has a javelin through it. So now they're like, okay, well, fuck, we can't stay here. So they make a run for it through this open field. Kills another student, and then as this guy, Scotty, stops and puts his hand on a tree, it throws another throwing star at him and literally traps him to the tree by his hand. And the creeper ends up taking him and flying away, which is fine because he was kind of an asshole. Mind you, a few people who didn't want to make a run for it stayed behind and stayed on the bus, and now the creeper is gone to them. As the creeper goes to attack them, these two arrive and they shoot it with this homemade harpoon. It works for like a minute, but ultimately the creeper flies off. 3 of the other students who had made a run for it now find a truck. As they're driving away, though, the creeper starts to chase them, but they then cause the truck to flip over, which then injures the creeper. And now this is probably the scariest scene of the movie because through this accident, the creeper has now lost an arm and a leg, and one of the other students is injured in the wreckage and is trying to crawl away. And we just see the creeper in the tall grass, like, leaping. It looks like this. Bye. The creeper manages to get on top of him, but before he can do anything, Jack shows up and shoots it again. So now he's been stabbed with a harpoon in the head again, but he is still alive. So the father goes up to it and starts angrily stabbing it in the heart, trying to kill it. But before he can die, he goes into hibernation mode because the 23 days are up. So it's over, for now. And then we cut to 23 years later and we are back at their family farm. And 3 teenagers are paying an entrance fee for this sideshow attraction called the Bat Out of Hell. And yep, you guessed it, it is the body of the creeper. And then they look over and see the father, who is now elderly, sitting there staring at the creeper's body with a harpoon. And they ask him, like, are you waiting for something? And he just looks up at the creeper and says, about 3 more days, give or take a day or 2. And that's it, the movie ends.